Hey, what is going on, Fan Clan? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Danny Phantump. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are all doing well. I really hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. We have been spending a little bit of time over the past week or so going over the market normalizing and kind of going back to how things used to be. It's really crazy when you think about how bad things got because there was so many issues with people finding product. Supply was way down compared to what demand was. Pokemon did this great job of printing and overprinting to a point where they may have printed too many cards. And now you can go into the store, you can find just about anything that's been printed over the past several months now. It's really been crazy. But when we talk about normalization and we talk about things going back to how they used to be, when you would open up a booster box of a new set, there wasn't anything crazy as far as pre-order prices. I remember when Evolutions first released and when Steam Siege first released and the XY Breakthrough and Breakpoint, the cards that came out of those booster boxes, and you would typically get 4 or 5 hits in a booster box, but the pre-order prices on a lot of those singles, it would be a high pre-order price if it was selling for somewhere around $25, $30. We talk right now about fun costs when it comes to opening up a booster box and how much you really should anticipate losing when you open up a booster box, and that's why we call it fun cost, because that's how much it's costing you to have fun to open up that product. Back then, we're talking 5-6 years ago now, you would expect to lose $40, $50 maybe opening up booster boxes. Granted, bulk was worth a little bit more back then than what it is now, but you weren't pulling really crazy cards unless it was like a Shaman EX out of Roaring Skies during its peak, or a Tapu Lele GX from Guardians Rising when it was at its peak. It's just, things are completely different. One of the cards that a lot of people focus on and that drew just the most endless amount of attention over the past couple years was Charizard. And the reason behind that is because of the investing side of Pokemon. And I talk a lot on this channel about how I think that there's room for everybody in this hobby, in this community, whether it be a collector, a competitive player, a casual player, an investor, a business owner. There's room for everybody. And when we talk about flippers and people who are reselling product, we kind of use it as like a taboo word because we don't want to necessarily just focus on the money side of Pokemon. It's kind of the same thing with an investor. An investor is somebody who kind of comes into the hobby, really enjoys the hobby, really enjoys specific artworks and enjoys specific cards, but we really kind of paint a bad picture when it comes to investors because a lot of people kind of came into this hobby to take advantage of this giant boom that we're going off of and using it as a way to kind of catapult themselves to make a bunch more money. So the term investor is kind of looked at in a dirty sense because of that mindset and because of that mantra. However, there have been investors and people involved in the game for years, really since it first came out, people who kind of really appreciate this as more of an artwork, and more of a hobby that they like to do on the side. And if it's worth something down the line, great. If it's not, at least they enjoy their investment pieces, their artwork, and things like that. So we are going to spend some time this week, today, and then again on Tuesday, going over Charizard. And I spent a lot of time putting together this specific one that we're going to look at today because I wanted to kind of focus on the Charizards that are doing well in the current market. And let's face it, there's not a whole lot of cards doing well right now in the current market. And then on Tuesday, when we come back, we'll go over Charizards that aren't doing very well in the current market. I had to go through basically every single Charizard in existence. I went through Japanese Charizards, I went through different English Charizards just to get a good understanding of cards that are doing well in the current market or at least performing okay to the point where they're kind of maintaining what they've been doing. The Charizard card has just completely died in a lot of different sets over the past several months because we did have all those people who were coming into the hobby just to make a quick buck, and that's when we talk about that taboo side of things when it comes to investing. People kind of come in really reliant on money. When you rely on money in this type of hobby, it's just not fun, and that really ruins it for you. So yeah, it's great to pay attention to values, but at the end of the day, enjoy the card, enjoy the hobby, and enjoy the artwork. Don't worry too much about the money side of things. We kind of look at the market and where it's at so that way we can make the best decisions when it comes to spending our collection dollars. But there has not been a lot of really great movement on many of these singles, especially some of these vintage singles. So a lot of people kind of selling off their Charizards, especially their raw cards, because maybe they have to put their money into somewhere else, or maybe they have to use their money somewhere else. There's a lot of people that got burned thanks to bad advice that was going on. And we will never give advice and tell you what to do with your money on this channel. We're just going to kind of make educated decisions, educated guesses, and use the data that's provided to us, the historical data, to make the best decisions when it comes to things. But we're going to start off looking at this Blaine's Charizard right here. This is specifically the non-first edition one. I know know it's got the first edition stamp, but we're looking at the non-first edition one right here. And we're going to go over the past 3 months of data for pretty much every single Charizard card right here. And there's only like 16 or 17 of them because there was not that many of them that are doing that well in the current market, unfortunately. But the Blaine's Charizard right now is doing really well and hovering right around a 3-month high. You can see at one point in the beginning of July, it did drop down to 236.57, but it has rebounded nicely, and it's sitting at 269.33, coming right off of its 3-month high of 271.20. So it looks like some of them got bought out kind of in May and June, and then it went down to its low point, its 3-month low of that 236.57 before it kind of rebounded and has been replaced with sales now hovering right around that 270 mark, which is the most it's been in 3 months. Still well down from where it was about a year ago, but doing much better. The Rainbow Rare Charizard, this is what a lot of people chase from that Burning Shadow set. Not a ton in Burning Shadows that has a lot of people interested. You've got a full art Acerola, a full art Guzma. You've got this Rainbow Rare Charizard and a regular Charizard. The full art Charizard wasn't in this set because it was a collection box promo. Other than that, not a whole lot of really crazy cards in Burning Shadows that a lot of people are excited about. However, a lot of product has been opened, which brought this card down quite a bit in price, especially about 6 months ago. Now, it has rebounded extremely nicely. The problem with Burning Shadows is the cuts are just awful. We complain about print quality right now in today's era, but when Burning Shadows came out, it was very, very terrible. There was print lines all over the place, card edging all over the place, lots of issues with quality control, but you can see the Rainbow Rare Charizard GX still doing really well, still rebounding really nicely. Its 3-month low of 393.23. It hit at the beginning of May, and it's been doing really well since then, kind of going in an upward trajectory. At one point, it hit 414.13. Now it's come back down a little bit. It's lost about $9 of that, but sitting at 405.13, much closer to that 3-month high than that 3-month low. The next one that we're going to look at is specifically related to the hollow foil of the Charizard from Crystal Guardians. This is the Delta Species Charizard right here. Really cool artwork. You can see at one point it did drop down to 213.59, and then it rebounded really nicely, and it's been kind of steady over the past few months. Not a whole lot of sales on this card because it is a more expensive card, but it is a beautiful artwork card. You can see with the flames coming out, definitely really cool. Sitting at 273.53, which is its 3-month high, and it's been staying consistently there for the last month and a half, but you can see a couple of sales here, much lower than that, as low as 213.59. The next one that we're going to look at is just the regular Art Charizard EX from Generations. Generations is a very expensive booster pack right now, considering the fact that it's not overly old. We're talking about a set that's what, 7, 8 years old, somewhere around there. I can't even remember exactly when Generations came out, but it went down to $21.83. Not a huge gain right now, sitting at $22.91, but this is another card that's at least remained steady compared to a lot of other cards in the current market that are really going down. It did hit $23.59 at the end of June. Dropped down a little bit here. It's sitting at $22.91 currently, but a really good looking card, a really good looking regular Art Charizard right there. Then we've got the full Art Charizard EX, which is absolutely just a complete banger. I love the artwork on this card. It is so gorgeous. I remember when this card came out about a year after release, it was selling for $15, $20 a pop. You could pick them up pretty much all day long, and that's what we're talking about the market normalizing. That was just the going rate of a full art Charizard after Flashfire came out. At one point, this was down to 114.33. You can see at the beginning of May, and it's done a really good job of trending upwards, especially in the middle of June here, where it hit its 3-month high of 122.12. Now it's come back down a little bit since then, still closer to its 3-month high than its 3-month low, but at least staying consistent compared to a lot of other Charizards in the market, sitting at 118.39. Then we've got the Charizard GX from the Detective Pikachu set. I don't know what to think about this card. It just looks a little different. It looks a little weird. At one time, it was down to $17.77, which actually isn't too bad. That was in the middle of May, and it's done a really good nice job. Yeah, that makes sense. A really nice job of rebounding after that, where you can see it's just trending upwards, sitting at 21.06 right now, which is its 3-month high, which is not bad for a regular Art GX. Then we've got a promo Charizard EX. This also came in a jumbo form. This one did hit $18.25 in the middle of July before dropping back down to that $16.94 mark. Still closer to its 3-month high than its 3-month low, but again, not a whole lot of difference. You're talking about maybe 15% or so over the last 3 months, which is still significant in the investment world. But May 3rd, it was down to $15.62. Again, seeing that consistency and trending in the upward direction is really cool. Then we've got the Charizard This, I believe, is the Cosmic. I don't know if this is the Cosmic one or not, to be honest with you, which one I pulled. I think this is the regular. Yeah, this is the regular one right here. So this was down to $5.67 at one point in time. We're just looking at the actual rare version. We're not looking at the reverse holo, which is the green, but you can see they're both trending in the upward direction. At one point, this was down to $5.67 in the middle of May. Hasn't really gained a lot of steam, but it's up to $7.30 as just a rare card from Team Up, which is a wonderful, wonderful set. Unfortunately, did not get reprinted like many of the other Sun and Moon sets, so Team Up does have a very expensive booster pack associated with it, but you can see just climbing in the upward direction. It's sitting at $7.14, which is a little bit off of its 3-month high of $7.30, but another Charizard that's staying consistent and at least trending upward a little bit. Then we've got Charizard from, I think this is Supreme Victors. At one point, this was down to $33.69. Again, we're paying attention to just the holo foil line, but again, the reverse holo staying consistent as well. At the beginning of May, this was selling for $33.69. It's gone up almost 20% since then. As you can see right here, it's trending in the upward direction, sitting at its 3-month high right now of $40.15. Really cool looking card. This one is the Rainbow Rare Charizard and Breaks In, and this one was a little bit of a surprise to me because most of the newer, most of the modern Charizards are trending in the downward direction, but you can see this one is actually doing extremely well. At one point, it was sitting at $96.56 at the beginning of May. It's done nothing but go upwards since then, sitting at a 3-month high right now of $101.35. Again, this is the Rainbow Rare Charizard and Breaks In. Unfortunately, when I transition things over from an Excel document to a Google Sheet, it just doesn't transition everything over properly. This row, for some reason, does not include all the lows, and I wish I could just click and send to the back, but unfortunately, it doesn't work on Google Sheets for some reason. Next up, we've got the Charizard Holo from Boundaries Cross. This is the Cosmos Holo, so this is an actual promo, came out of the blister, I believe. This is sitting at $39.85 as its 3-month high, which it hit a couple weeks ago before dropping back down to this $39.04. But you can see at one point at the beginning of May, it was sitting at $33.65. So it's pretty cool to see some of these Charizards trending in the upward direction compared to everything else in the market, which is going downwards. Then we've got the Charizard Holo. This was also a promo card. This is the Cosmos Holo, or whatever it was called, Shattered Glass Holo from Team Up. But this is sitting at $17.46 currently, which is just off of its 3-month high, which it recently hit of $17.49. At one point, it was down to $16.68. That was at the beginning of May. Did a good job of staying consistent all the way up until the middle of June before kind of taking off a little bit and going up. You see about a 10% gain after that, which is pretty cool. Next up, we've got the Charizard Holo Rare. I think this is from Secret Wonders. And again, we're going to pay attention to the holo foil price. The reverse holo price is actually going in the opposite direction. This one, the holographic card right here, is actually doing really, really well. You can see at one point in time at the beginning of May, it hit $122.48. Did a good job of going up all the way to that $142.69 mark before dropping back down a little bit and kind of leveling off. Sitting at $137.23 right now, which is about $15 above its 3-month low. So about 10% of an increase, much closer to that 3-month high than 3-month low. And this is where things got a little bit tricky. So for these next 5, I kind of just went over some things that I think are very interesting to pay attention to and look at, especially this Charizard right here. This is the one from Brilliant Stars. You can see it's just going up and down, up and down, up and down. Really can't make up its mind, which I found very interesting. It did hit a 3-month low at the middle of July of $4.05 before going back up closer to its 3-month high, which it hit at the beginning of June of $5.22. But you would think you would see it go down a lot more based off of the amount of Brilliant Stars that's getting opened right now. There's so much Brilliant Stars getting opened because of all the collection boxes that it is in. So a lot more of these are getting pulled. So you would think it would be trending downwards more. Very interesting to kind of see it go up, down, and stay relatively consistent. Then we've got the Charizard V regular art from Darkness Ablaze. Not as much Darkness Ablaze getting open because it's not getting thrown in collection boxes as much anymore. You still have relatively cheap Elite Trainer boxes and booster boxes considering its age thanks to the reprints. But at one point in time, this was at $7.34 at the beginning of June before dropping all the way down to its 3-month low of $4.18. Now it's rebounded nicely where it's actually closer to its 3-month high than its 3-month low of $6.06. And definitely something you kind of want to keep an eye on, especially if you don't have this in your collection, with not many Darkness Ablaze packs being opened as much anymore because there's really not a whole lot of chase cards in Darkness Ablaze. You can see that Charizard VMAX going all the way down to the mid-30s right now from Darkness Ablaze. It's an interesting card to kind of pay attention to. You might see it sneak up to about the $9-10 mark. And we've got the full Art Charizard EX promo. Really gorgeous card. Has done a good job of kind of rebounding. At one point, this fell all the way down to $37.34. You can see at one point over the past 3 months, it was selling for $43.44. It has leveled out a little bit, sitting at $40.37, but at least trending in the upward direction. Again, like I said, it was tough to find Charizards that were doing really well in the current market. This one seemed to be doing better than a lot of the other ones that we see out there, and at least it's starting to turn things around, and with its availability being less and less in the current market, because it's not something that's being opened on a regular basis, I figured it would be worthwhile at least noting. The Lance's Charizard V and the Charizard GX, this was the Hidden Fates tin promo card, and the reason I wanted to bring this up is because if you compare the two, very, very interesting. You can see the Lance's Charizard V has gone up and down, and not a whole lot of change as far as price goes. At one point, it was down to $2.04. At one point, its high point was at $2.77 at the end of May, and then it's gone up and down since then, sitting at $2.31. However, if we compare that and assume it's got relatively close to the same amount of print runs as Hidden Fates tins, for example, which were reprinted a ton. So there's going to be a lot of these Charizard GX promos out there in existence. A $2.04 or a $2.31 ultra rare for this Lance's Charizard V. I think it was worth noting if you compare it to a card like Charizard GX, which was in every single Charizard tin from Hidden Fates, with how many of those exist, and try and compare the two. You can see this one selling for about double the price, sitting at $4.60. Obviously, the age is a factor here, so this one came out a few years before the Lance's Charizard V, but it's something to kind of take note of. In a few years, we might be seeing Lance's Charizard V hover around that $4.60 mark. At one point, this Charizard GX was sitting at $5.61. It did drop in the middle of July back to $4.07, but for the most part, hovering right around that $4.55 mark a few years after the Lance's Charizard V, which also came out as a promo and also came out in high quantities. So I figured it was worth noting to kind of pay attention to that as well. And that's pretty much it as far as Charizards that are performing well, or at least staying consistent. On Tuesday, we're going to take a look at the Charizards that are not performing well, and we're going to look mainly at kind of a few vintage ones, but also the ones in the modern world that are just not performing, not doing super well. Definitely something that you can kind of keep your eye on, so that way if you want to pick up some of these more expensive pieces to add to your collection, whether you're collecting master sets or if you're just a Charizard lover, it's something kind of good to keep an eye on and pay watch to. So I hope you enjoy that kind of content. If you do, hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a long way for the algorithm. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. I'll see you guys again on Tuesday, and then Wednesday is our big, we're opening Pokemon cards until we hit 75,000 subscribers. We're going to start at 10 a.m. Central Time right here on this channel, and we're just going to keep opening cards up until we hit 75,000 subscribers. I'm very nervous, and we got a long ways to go. So hope to see you guys there. Until then, guys, thank you so much for everything. Peace.